The headlines. Reasserting his authority, Vladimir Putin thanks his troops for stopping what he calls a civil war. The leader of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, confirms that the Wagner boss Yevgeny Prigozhin is in his country following the group's mutiny on Saturday.
A deadly missile strike in Ukraine kills at least 4 as Russia ramps up its bombardment following a failed mutiny.
An investigation into Lancashire concludes that Nicola Bulley drowned after accidentally falling into cold water, ruling out suicide. And Lewis Capaldi announces a break from touring after struggling to finish his set at Glastonbury.
An international organ trafficking scheme goes to court in the UK. And a slice of history gives new insight into the origins of pizza.
Now let's take you to the United States, where an audio recording has emerged of Donald Trump allegedly handling papers and saying that they were highly classified during a post-presidential interview. While speaking with an author working on a memoir of his former chief of staff, Mark Meadows, Mr. Trump is heard rifling through papers and saying this is highly confidential. Now, earlier this month, he appeared in a federal court in Miami, charged with 37 counts of illegally retaining classified documents and obstructing the government's efforts to get them back. He has denied the charges. A report by the U.S. Justice Department has found negligent federal prison staff contributed to the suicide of the high-profile sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. It said 13 staff were complicit in failure to check on the financier in the hours before he was found hanging in a cell in New York City. Epstein killed himself while awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges. A new unilateral ceasefire has been announced in Sudan by the head of the paramilitary group Rapid Support Forces. It was announced in an audio recording and will be in place for the Muslim holiday of Eid. The United Nations has said that the conflict is worsening to alarming levels in Darfur and taking on a worrying ethnic dimension. Officials in Saudi Arabia say that the 1.8 million Muslims are performing this year's Hajj pilgrimage. Now, that figure falls short of the record number of more than 2.5 million worshippers that Saudi Arabia had been preparing for. It's the first time that all restrictions on attendance have been lifted since the COVID pandemic. Pilgrims are also facing extreme heat with temperatures reaching 48 Celsius.
There's been clashes between police and residents in a Paris suburb after a 17-year-old was shot and killed by a police officer. The young delivery driver was shot in the head during a traffic stop. Now, the prosecutor's office have said an officer has been detained on suspicion of manslaughter.
Now, a long-awaited report into cricket in England and Wales has found that racism, sexism, and class-based discrimination is widespread and deeply rooted within the game. The report says most ethnically diverse players experience racism, women are treated like second-class citizens, and cricket is dominated by players from private schools.
The Oscar-winning actor Kevin Spacey is due to appear in court today, accused of a dozen sex offence charges. The Hollywood actor denies allegations of historic offences committed against 4 men, which are said to have taken place between 2001 and 2013.